So welcome to the part two on traffic control device. Here we started with the introduction to traffic control device. Afterwards we treated the aspect of types of traffic control device, and we've also been able to look at some basic traffic control devices such as the traffic signs, the traffic signals, the speed bumps, and some others. So without wasting much time, we're going to be going into the second part of this, starting with the intersection channelization. This allows motorists to move at different speeds and in potentially conflicting directions without colliding. And this is usually used on high volume highways and high volume approaches on the road. So the channelization means that the road will link configuration necessary to safely move traffic on and off the highway. Now this is an example of a point of intersection on the road, and we can see vehicles that are coming on this road that are going in this direction can go this way, and for those coming into this direction can easily pass through here. So the idea of the intersection channelization is to be able to develop an island, just something like this, that helps motorists to be able to move at different speed and in different conflicting directions, just like you can see here. And these are examples of intersection channelization. So this is another example, a pictorial example of intersection channelization. You can see the channelization of the road from the picture here. Now the seventh device we're going to be looking into, or the traffic control, will be the signal warrant. This is very important because warrants for installing a traffic control signals are guidelines. They are just set of guidelines that determine whether it is necessary or appropriate to install a traffic signal at an intersection or a specific location. So there are basic warrants that needs to be, they are just a set of guidelines that needs to be followed before a traffic signal can be installed in a particular intersection or location. And it says that these warrants are used to ensure that traffic signals are installed where they will be effective in improving safety and traffic flow. So it's very important for them to be installed at locations that they will be most effective for safety and traffic flow. That is quite important. We don't just install traffic signals anywhere. There are some basic guidelines that helps us to know if there is going to be a need to install a traffic signal in a particular part of the road or in the traffic or at a point of intersection on the road. And these outlines are stated in the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Device MUTCD that is published by the Federal Highway Administration. So we're going to be looking into the different signal warrants, and we have about 9 of them, so we'll be taking them one at a time. Just to recap on this, before we can determine if a traffic signal will be installed at a specific location or at a point of intersection, it is very important for it to meet some certain criteria and conditions to know if it will be most effective to improve safety and traffic flow in that location. Now, there are 9 warrants for installing of a traffic control signals here. We have the 8-hour vehicular volume, 4-hour vehicular volume, the peak hour pedestrian volume, school crossing, coordinated signal system, crash experience, road network, and intersection near a road crossing. So let's start taking them one at a time. The first one is called the warrant one, which we also say we call the 8-hour period. A traffic signal may be warranted when a minimum number of vehicles passes through the intersection during a specific period, and this specific period is measured based on 8-hour period. So looking at the volume of vehicles passing through an intersection over a 8-hour period will determine whether a traffic signal will be appropriate at that specific intersection or not. And This is to ensure that traffic signals are installed at locations with a sufficient volume of traffic to justify the installation. You cannot expect that on a particular highway where we have over 3,000, let's for example, over 3,000 vehicles monitored over a 8-hour period compared to an highway or a highway where we have maybe 500 vehicles plying the road over 8-hour period. So this is why there is a need for this warrant one to determine the minimum vehicle volume that has to pass through a particular intersection within an 8-hour period to determine if there is going to be a need to have the traffic signal in that location or intersection or not. So the first one basically looked into the 8-hour period just like we have here, which is what we call the warrant one. Moving to the warrant two. The warrant two is a 4-hour vehicular volume signal warrant. These are intended to be applied to know the volume of cars or vehicles plying a road at the point of intersection over a period of 4 hours. A signal may be warranted if the traffic on the cross street is unable to enter or cross the main road due to heavy traffic volume causing significant delay. And the purpose is to give priorities to traffic on the side street and improve intersection efficiently. So this is the second warrant, which is based on a 4-hour vehicular volume signal warrant. So the first one is based on 8 hours. The second one is based on 4 hours volume. The third one is what we call the peak hour. And what do we mean when we say the peak hour? The peak hour signal warrant is intended for the use at a location where conditions are such that for a minimum of 1 hour of an average day, the minor street traffic suffers undue delay when entering or crossing the major roads. What we're trying to say is the reason for warrant 3 helps us to understand and look into some locations that has a particular peak hour. In my country, Nigeria, there are some certain peak hours, most especially within 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning in cities like Lagos, Nigeria. These are peak hours in the morning where we have lots of vehicles on the road. And warrant 3 is brought into the picture here to help to know whether there is going to be a need to have a traffic signal at a particular point or location at an intersection. If there is going to be a need to have a traffic signal at this location based on the peak hour. Usually the peak hours in the cities around is within 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and also within 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. because these are the periods where um, workers are going home, and the morning period are when they're going to work, and the evening is when they're coming back. So these are peak hours where it's quite important to use. We use this peak period to know if there is going to be a need to have traffic installed or traffic signals installed at a given location or intersection on the road. So that is warrant 3. The warrant 4, which is also known as the pedestrian volume. This is a criteria used in traffic engineering to assess the need for a traffic signal at a particular intersection based on the volume of pedestrians crossing the intersection. If we have a particular location on the road or an intersection where the average number of pedestrians crossing the road is about little or less than 100 pedestrians, it cannot be compared to a location or a pedestrian crossing where we have over 1,000. So the need to have this warrant for come into the picture or to set up a traffic signal at that point is due to the traffic volume on the road. It helps us to know based on the traffic volume or the pedestrian volume or the volume of pedestrians crossing the intersection. And these are studied over a period of time to be able to monitor and to be able to ascertain the volume of pedestrians that fly down road at that particular time to know if there will be a need to install a traffic signal in that specific intersection. So this is basically on the pedestrian volume. The fifth one is what we call the school crossing. I think this one is self-explanatory. This warrant focuses on securing the safety of students and pedestrians crossing the street near educational facility. So that means educational facility is one of a determining factor. There has to be when we know that there are educational facilities in a particular location, maybe we have series of educational facilities, then this shows that there is going to be a need to have a traffic signal warranted in that facility for safe crossing and to improve overall safety of pedestrians and also students or pupils who are going to school or coming back from school. And usually we understand that when we have a school crossing, it's usually very much effective in the morning, maybe within 7 a.m. to 8 or 8:30, and also at the closing time in the afternoon where students or pupils are going back home. So the need to know if the warrant 5 or the school crossing and the installation of a traffic signal will be warranted is basically as a result of the educational facilities that are within the location or the intersection. The sixth, we have the coordinated signal system. This system is intended for applications where the progressive movement in a coordinated signal system sometimes necessitates installing traffic control signals. Just for more witness in the picture, this warrant applies to intersections where traffic control signals will not otherwise be needed in order to maintain proper platooning of vehicles. So that is when we bring in the coordinated signal system from what we can see on the picture here. Then the next one is the warrant 7. It's called the crash experience from its name, crash experience. This is just to tell us that you need to know if they need to have a traffic signal at a location or an intersection is basically on the frequency of crashes that are occurring in that particular location. If the crashes are the reason or the principal reason for this crash is to consider installing a traffic control signal, then that is when warrant 7 comes into the picture. When we notice that there is high level or the frequency of crashes in a particular location or intersection is as a result of lack of traffic signal in that location or intersection, then warrant 7 is being adopted where the traffic signal can be installed. So this is basically on crash experience. Then for 8, the roadway network signal warrant 8, is intended for applications where installing a traffic control signal might be justified to encourage concentration and organization of traffic flow on a network. You can see this is a roadway which is more of a complex system, and this shows that we're having something as complex as this, might be a need for the installation of a traffic control signal to help with coordination and concentration and organization of traffic flow on this roadway network. Then the ninth one is known as the ninth warrant or warrant 9, also known as the intersection near a grade crossing warrant, is a criteria used in traffic engineering to evaluate the need for traffic control measures as intersections located in close proximity to railroad grade crossing. Grade crossing are intersections where a road crosses a railroad tracks at the same level as the present. So that means we need to know if there is going to be a need for us to have a traffic signal at a road that has a close proximity to a railroad grade crossing. So this warrant 9 is being adopted, and this is a criteria used in traffic engineering to know if there is going to be a need to have a traffic signal in this location that has proximity to any form of railroad grade crossing close by. So that is it on the warrants, the 1 to 9 under the warrants. Then we move into what we call a refuge island. A refuge island, which is also known as a pedestrian refuge or a pedestrian island, is just a small section of a paved roadside way surrounded by asphalt or other road materials. And it is typically used when a street is very wide and the pedestrian crossings can be too long for some individuals to cross in non-traffic light circle. What are we trying to say? We have some roads that are quite wide enough where even if the traffic light shows that pedestrians can cross, it will be too long for pedestrians to cross that road at once. So what they do is to have what we call a refuge island in between where they can cross the road and stop at a particular point, then proceed to cross the road again through from that point. So that's positions or those places within those positions within the road is what we call a refuge island or a pedestrian island. And this is a picture of what we call a refuge island or a pedestrian island. From here we can see the sign of a pedestrian crossing here, which shows that there has been a movement from one side of the road crossing to this point where you can see this man standing and waiting to cross to the other side. So as a result of the fact that the road is long for pedestrians to cross at once, so there is a need to have a refuge island where pedestrians can cross, wait a while before crossing the road to the other side. And this position on the road is what we call the refuge island or pedestrians refuge or pedestrian island. It's just a small section on the paveway or sidewalk. Having a good understanding of these, then we can now go into the importance of traffic control devices. So what are the importance from everything we have been able to look into so far? We know it has the various importance and we have been able to highlight and put some of them during the course of this lecture. And the first one, we said that at the beginning of the lecture in the part one, safety. It is very important because it's one of the primary purposes of traffic control device is to ensure the safety on the roadways. Devices such as stop signs, traffic signals, pedestrian crossing, speed limit, all these can help regulate traffic flow and help reduce conflict between road users and prevent accidents. So which is very important. Then traffic flow management. The traffic control devices help to manage the flow of vehicles on the road by providing instruments to devices on the road that helps to make sure that there is a free flow of traffic on the road. Then guidance and information. The traffic control devices also is very essential. It provides essential information to road users when it comes to direction, speed limits, lane assignment, parking regulations, warning signs, and potential hazards. And this guidance helps drivers navigate roadways safely and effectively. Then we have the regulatory compliance. This helps to convey legal requirements and regulations to drivers or pedestrians and cyclists by following the road signs or the traffic signs that are on the highway or on the roadside or on any road system or any road network. So it helps to have a regulatory compliance towards that. Pedestrian safety. Such devices as crosswalking markings, pedestrian signals, refuge islands, and pedestrian signs. These are essential for ensuring that the safety of pedestrians at intersections and crossways are paramount. These devices also help pedestrians cross the roadway safely and alert drivers of the presence of pedestrians. So the pedestrian safety as a result of some of these pedestrian signs and signals makes it quite important for us to have these traffic control devices. Then visibility and awareness. Traffic control devices that are designed to be highly visible and easily recognizable. It's one of the important part of traffic control devices. Just as we said when we were going through the bollards, and also the same thing also with other traffic signs that we listed earlier, that they have to be made out of reflective rays. Reflective rays not just only during the day but especially at night when it is quite dark and the rays can be obvious and vivid and legible enough for people to see or read when moving in that direction. Traffic calming. Devices like speed bumps, rumble strips, and roundabouts are used for traffic calming purpose to reduce vehicle speed. enhance drivers' awareness and improve safety in residential areas, school zones, and other locations with high pedestrian activities. As a driver, when you're on the road and the moment you could spot a speed bump, it passes a message to the driver that the reason why there is a speed bump on this location or on this road, it's as a result of maybe the presence of maybe pedestrians or is a residential area or school zone, something. There is a reason for us to have a speed bump in a particular location. And the moment this can be pictured in the mind of the driver, they know they have to put caution walking or driving in that on that road. Then the last one is the emergency response. The traffic control devices play a crucial role in facilitating emergency response activities by guiding emergency vehicles, most especially at the time of when there is an accident or there are some times where some vehicles breaks down on the road. We'll see the driver bring out some signs to alert people of the need to change the lane due to the car that has broken down in that on that particular lane on the road in order to for better emergency response in attending to the situation. So these are just basically some of the importance of traffic control devices in this lecture. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next lecture.